Welcome, welcome everyone. It's great to see everyone from really, of course, a lot of US people, but yeah, wow, Venezuela, Philippines, yeah, Portugal. Nice. Ireland. So yeah, we have people from a lot of different parts of the world, everywhere. So yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. So my name is Disha Gosalia, and I'm the Global Vice President of Customer Experience here at Katalon. I am really excited to be your host for today's session. Um, we started this webinar series as the first one just because things are moving so quickly, right? Both in the QA landscape, with AI, and with everything we are building across here at Katalon, in the Katalon platform. There is a lot of innovation that's happening here. And so we want to make sure that you, as our customers, as our partners, are always in the loop and are able to take full advantage of the newest capabilities. And our goal is simple. We want to help you adopt the latest features with confidence and start seeing the value right away. So today's session is called Bringing AI Native Quality to Life with the Katalon Platform. And it's just simply all about that. And to walk us through it, we are lucky to have our very own Alex Martins with us. For those of you who haven't met Alex yet, he's a VP of Strategy at Katalon, and he is one of the leading voices in our industry. Though I asked him, Alex, what do you want me to put in an introduction? And he just said, like, well, your neighbor next door, just the guy who has your job. So, who has a similar job. He has been a practitioner in the industry. He's an industry thought leader with more than 20 years of experience. And so he's definitely, the right guy to walk us through what's happening in the testing world, in DevOps, and in AI. He brings a very deep understanding of where this industry is heading and how teams can adopt AI to deliver better software, faster software. Also, since this series is really built for you, throughout this session, we'll be taking a couple of quick polls. We'd love to hear from you. What you want to learn about more, whether it's new features, more deeper dive into what we'll talk about today. And so that will help us understand what we can have in the future webinars. Your feedback is truly what shapes what we bring you next. Alex, if you can move to the next slide so I can just do a quick housekeeping here. The webinar is recorded, so it will be emailed to you. If you want to either forward it to your colleagues, to your team members, or if you want to, obviously review something again. We also have a Q&A button there in the Zoom window. So please, throughout the session, add your questions. I will, at frequent interviews, have Alex answer them as we have questions in there. Share your feedback on the polls, again, so we can also customize the conversation. All right, that's all I had. Alex, over to you.
All right, thank you, Disha. Hey everyone, I'm really excited to be here. When Disha asked me to, to be here and essentially share with you what we've been working on the product side and what kind of things we're changing and evolving based on from a strategy perspective, based on the things happening in the market, most importantly, based on the things that we're hearing from you guys as our customers. Because if you haven't caught on to what Adisha said, this is a webinar only for our customers. So when she invited me to come here and talk to you about that, I was really excited because then I get the opportunity to open up a little bit more, right? On the things we've been cooking and because obviously we're all family here. You guys are already Catalan customers, and I want to make sure that today you not only understand what is already available to you from the most innovative capabilities perspective, but also understand what's coming. What is it that we're already working on, and give you some sense of timelines and all that. And the reason I wanted to do that, I was talking to Disha, is because my day to day, I always have calls with our customers, and and also with our product team to make sure that we're building the right things, the right capabilities to support the actual challenges that all of you guys are trying to address. So as I've been interacting with many of you guys, and I see lots of familiar names here, as I mentioned in the beginning, I noticed that there is a lot of confusion, not only across our customer base, but also the market itself. There's so many things that are changing super fast that everybody is getting very confused. Like, what's next, basically? So I wanted to share with you the things that, based on what we've been hearing from you, that we're working on, so that at least it gives you a sense of, hey, this challenge that you are currently trying to tackle or that you see coming, I see that Catalan is going to be able to help me. And also on the flip side, I want to hear from you guys. And Disha mentioned, we'll have some polls for you, but also we have the chat window, the Q&A box. I want to hear from you the things that the challenges that you guys are facing, and that you're not seeing something here available in our roadmap that is going to help you tackle those challenges. So this is again a very closed session for very family friendly session, no external parties, so we can be very open. And we need that openness, that transparency, so that we can continue to building on our partnership longer term. Okay. So, with that out of the way, I just want to contextualize everything that we're going to discuss today because we have an inevitable challenge before us, and this is driving all of our strategy and how we are positioning and building different capabilities to address this inevitability that we're facing. Um, and when we kind of take a few steps back and look at, what's going on in the industry, in the world in general, right? Obviously, AI is the topic, but I want to zero in here on the consequences of all that talk around AI. Um, what we're seeing and hearing from you guys is that there is a lot of work on the development side, on the applications development side, where the engineers are heavily leaning on AI coding assistants to help them write more code and write faster. And that is awesome from a business perspective, but also it means that there's a lot more things to be tested. The quality of the things that we will test is not at the level of quality that everybody wanted. So there's going to be more bugs. There's going to be more testing work that needs to be performed. And obviously this is what the speed of development increasing is what everybody wanted. But also we need to think about, okay, am I ready to accommodate that speed in my current testing process, in my current testing life cycle? And you may think, I mean, when we first start hearing these things, right, you may think, well, but this is really, we're talking about like the FANG companies, right? The Facebooks, the Amazons, the Googles, right? Um, those are the ones that are really heavily investing on AI-driven development. But that's not the case. I was really impressed over the last, couple of months in hearing from many of you guys here on the call that you are in a more traditional industry. You are in a more considered a more of a laggard type of industry that kind of waits and sees and tries to see if things work for the others, and then you'll jump in. I was really surprised in hearing and learning that you guys are also, seeing your development counterparts heavily investing in AI, and that is obviously causing some concerns on the testing side that need to be addressed. So. Some people might think that this is just like a tech industry type of development, but no, like banking, financial services, healthcare, insurance. I mean, it's all over. So with this context, I want to talk a little bit about what we're hearing from you, the specific challenges we're hearing from you, and then I'm going to flip into, okay, here's what we already have available in terms of capabilities and features across our products, and also what's coming. So let's go there. So obviously, as we think about that AI-driven development, there's a ton of acceleration in AI on both development and also in production. Production monitoring, real user monitoring, all that, th those different capabilities. In the observability space, there's a ton of AI being employed already in those two sides of the life cycle, if you will. But when we look at testing, we have to do a lot of work. We have to analyze requirements so that we can understand what needs to be tested, how thorough we need to test them, and determine if the requirements are even testable, they are unambiguous, they're clear, right? So that we can start test planning. And then when we start test planning, we have it, there's a lot of variables to consider. And with the accelerated development rate, I mean, it's just making things harder and harder. And then we finally, start designing and creating tests. Eventually, we'll automate those tests. And then we have to set up some type of environment to run those tests against, as well as to test data, obviously. And then we finally get to execute those tests both manually and from an automated perspective. And then we start now reporting. Okay, here's the current state of the application from a quality standpoint, and you report that at all kinds of levels, right? For the more technical, test case pass fail type of report to the more executive level so that, decision makers can start making their decisions. The point here is that what we're learning and hearing from you guys is that the way these activities have been happening is not fast enough when you are up against AI powered development. And the way we look at how to address this is obviously we have to combat AI with AI, right? We have to find ways to inject AI into each of those testing activities in the testing lifecycle. And that's the only way really to have testing not keep being that bottleneck that we're seeing that right now, and in finally enabling our testing teams to move faster and be more productive and in order to not only keep up with development but really hopefully get ahead of it. So if we look at those kinds of capabilities here in this diagram, on the left hand side we have the product intent that is translated into requirements. But now, if you're going to do, your test planning from requirements that are not complete, that are not testable, that are ambiguous, then your test planning is not going to be great. And then if that's not great, your test design is not going to be great either, right? So it's kind of a cascading effect. So what we're doing here is we're introducing capabilities that are powered by AI to really analyze those requirements on your behalf. So think of it as, AI agents to analyze requirements that will basically tell you, hey, these are the problems with the requirement. Like this is not testable. The acceptance criteria is not something that we can actually evaluate. This statement is ambiguous and so on and so forth. And then it basically tells you, hey, these are the clarifications that we need to seek from the product owner or the business analyst. Do you want me to send that to them, right? As a form of clarification request. When that comes back, then yeah, okay, now you fully understand the AI can help you now do proper test planning. And then same thing, test planning and then test design and so on. So we have injected in all of these different activities in the testing lifecycle AI or AI agents to help you do those activities while you are driving those agents to do those activities for you. So it's not something that you are not in control, something that just happens behind the scene. No, you're the active driver of those capabilities, and the ultimate goal is help you do those activities more thoroughly and faster than ever before. So that's the kind of left to right side of the testing life cycle. But one of the things that you might have read or you might be reading in the industry as well is as you start adding AI powered capabilities in your applications themselves, right? So your applications now start being not non-deterministic. So if you think about it from that context, then when you release the application to production, you cannot stop evaluating quality. You cannot stop evaluating how those responses, those non-deterministic responses are actually being given to users or to your end users. Because as we know, the generative AI, one of the things about generative AI is that the non-determinism is something that is, I mean, amazingly, it's great from a creativity perspective, but when you're thinking about, testing, it does present a problem. So you really should continue, and this is not me saying, this is you guys telling me, how can we continue monitoring the quality as the users actually interact with the features that are, AI powered features that your teams are delivering to your end users. And that's where we added the capability to monitor that user experience, to understand what are the user journeys that in production your end users are actually going through, and what kind of responses are they getting as they go through those journeys. And then based on that information, not only feeding that back to the product owner or the business analyst so they can say, hey, here's how we intended that specific feature to be built and delivered, but here's how and used, but here's how users are actually interacting with that capability, and is there any gap there, so that the POs and the BAs can go and update the requirements if they choose to do that. And then from a testing perspective, it enables your testing teams to essentially make sure you have the tests that reflect those same user journeys in production. And why is that important? Because if those user journeys are working, which if they're in production, they are, and users are going through those, then you want to make sure that those experiences, those journeys do not break as part of your next release cycle. So and for that to happen, you need to test them, to test those journeys the same way as your users test those journeys, right? So that's something that it basically helps you strengthen your test strategy to bring coverage both from a requirements perspective, which is the standard from a testing point of view, but also bring the coverage from a user-based perspective, which when you have applications that are providing non-deterministic responses to your end users, that's vital to your business. So in other words, what this does is, it helps you shift left, it helps you shift right, and have that holistic 360-degree view of coverage across your entire life cycle. So those are the obviously high level capabilities that I'm gonna go through with you guys today. And then we're gonna dive deeper on a couple here based on the polls as well. Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of polls.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I think that picture was really important because even as I talk to our customers, you know, there is a company mandate here, right? That, oh, our company wants us to shift left, do more in sprint testing, or, we really need to understand now with AI what a user journey mapping looks like. So I'm going to launch this poll here. You guys should all see coming this on your screen right there. So please answer what your organization's top testing priorities are. You can choose multiple, and we would love to understand from the audience, what is right now topping the charts here.
Yeah, and guys, these choices on the poll are basically the top things we've been hearing from you guys over the last year, right? So we want to gauge here in the in the audience that is watching this live, what is the mix up, right? For these capabilities, like what are the priorities for you guys, and then I can tailor the next the dive into the capabilities, I can tailor that to what's more priority for you guys.
Yeah, so far, Accelerated Test Automation coverage leading at 84%. Um, our bread and butter manual regression test at 63%. Um, all right, things are still sort of changing live, but shift left is almost 50%. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, so I guess let me end the poll. We have 71% of participants participated already. I'll show the results here on the screen. Okay, so Actually, the top two are definitely, we're at Katalon, definitely our bread and butter, where we started. Shift left is, obviously we're seeing more and more customers ask us this. I think that would be, Alex, definitely we know that's the focus also in our next few slides. But yeah, user-based testing at 27. Oh, actually missed. We have 52% here on manual, automated, and AI generated. So AI is, yeah, definitely up there.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay, thank you guys. Yeah, so automation coverage, uh, the backlog of regression tests, and the managing the manual automated and AI generated tests. Also shift left with in-sprint
Yeah.
testing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is great. So thank you guys. We have a lot to talk about around those capabilities. Um, so let me move on here to the next one. Okay. Um, one of the things that I like to always share with the audience is and Disha kind of started talking about it is we we are we have defined our vision and strategy based on how our on our read on our customer base, on you guys, on the market, um, and in our own experience, right, in the field. But nothing beats what we hear directly and on a daily basis from you guys. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to answer the poll, and and just know that you guys are being heard every single day. I mean, I think that's something we don't say enough, but we see you guys as real partners that guide every day guide us on making adjustments to the roadmap of our products and validating some of the hypotheses we're putting out there as we're experimenting with new things. So with that, I want to share here a little bit something that you probably never really saw it, and is it's really about how our product strategy is built out. We start with our vision, which is to be the agentic testing company for you guys. Um, and the way we are going to accomplish that is by helping organizations test at the speed of AI. That's our strategy to fulfill that vision. And that strategy is underpinned by three pillars. First one is pioneering AI-driven innovations. So essentially taking all of those different elements that I mentioned in the beginning around what's going on in the market with your own companies and so on, and determining how AI can help us address those challenges that are basically impeding you guys from moving faster with more quality and so on. Um, our approach to that, to doing that, is really having, as people say, the human in the loop. But we like to say that is really having you guys driving the AI, because at the end of the day, your SME knowledge is really the unique differentiator across the entire SDLC, really the amount of business knowledge, company knowledge, institutional knowledge, and testing knowledge is really core. And if you put an AI agent on your hands, then the possibilities are endless. The second pillar is really strengthening the core capabilities that you already love and use in our products. And the third one is continue evolving our Katalon platform to address more and more complex needs. As I mentioned earlier, we're hearing from all kinds of companies in our customer base. The more, the ones that work more in the tech space that are super like pushing the envelope on everything, but also on we've been working with many companies that are more traditional, and those two extremes and everything in the middle have very specific needs in the age of AI, and we want to continue evolving our Catalan platform to address those needs across the board. Um, and the way we're doing that is by building out this agentic testing vision in the platform that starts, with the products here at the bottom, which you're familiar with. So TestOps, TrueTest, Studio Enterprise, the Runtime Engine, and Test Cloud. So these products, these tools that you guys already have, maybe not, you don't have all of them, but that at least you've heard of them. These tools, they have been extremely successful. I mean, that's why we're here, and in helping you guys overcome lots of challenges. And they continue to evolve. But what we're doing differently now is to really build this agentic layer, as we call it, where we'll have different agents, AI agents that are interacting directly with those tools that you already know and love, at the bottom, as you see. Um, and they're also interacting with you. So you have the option in the Katalon platform, you have the option to continue doing the work the way you've been doing. So, interacting directly with Studio, interacting directly with TestOps, and so on. Or you'll be able to interact with the AI agent and ask the AI agent, for example, hey, for this new release or this new sprint that's starting, um, is there any user story assigned to me, right? And then our AI agent will go to Jira, because at the bottom here you see the integrations. The AI agent will go to Jira, pull the last or the list of user stories from this particular sprint. We'll see if there's anything assigned to you. If not, it'll say, well, it's not assigned, but there's these 5 or 6 or 10 user stories. And by the way, I can see that user story number one is very ambiguous. We need to see clarification. Would you like me to do that? Right? So it's not only doing what you tell it to do, but it's being proactive to really bringing you information that you can make decisions on. Um, and obviously, as part of this agentic layer, you're going to have the ability to interact with the agent just like in natural language, as you normally do with ChatGPT and so on. But also, that agent will have full access to our tools, to TestOps, TrueTest Studio, etc., in order to get those tools to do things, just as if you were interacting with those tools directly. And what's enabling all this behind the scenes is MCP, right? So the Model Context Protocol that enables different LLMs and different AI agents to communicate across the entire ecosystem. So those agents that you see here at the top, not only they'll be able to talk to our own tools, but they'll be able to talk to, like I was saying earlier in the example, Jira, ADO, right? Any other tool that also is MCP enabled. So this opens up the possibilities tremendously. And this is all being done based on the feedback and requests that you guys have shared with us or have been sharing with us along the way. So a
Alex,
lot
maybe
of
this
this.
is a perfect time to take this question because I think it's related that we have.
Mhm.
How can AI interact with customer data and where it is stored?
Oh, yeah. So it's how AI interacts with customer data and where it's stored. So the AI agent, so imagine you're using, let's say, TestOps, right? And you are in TestOps. So TestOps is in the cloud. We do have some on-prem deployments as well, but let's assume it's in the cloud. Then everything is accessed through MCP. And then if your data, your customer data, where did the question go? Oh, I see. You marked this answer.
Yeah.
If the customer data is inside your premise, then you have to enable access to that data, right? If the data is already in TestOps or it's in let's say in your Jira cloud instance, then we'll access that data in wherever it is. We're not going to bring that data into and store it into our own tools unless you allow it to do that, right? So we have a whole what's the word, Disha? If you remember the name of the security center that we have with all the definitions of how we treat customer data and protect it. There's a name like the customer security center, something like that.
Trust center?
The what?
Trust center?
Trust center. Yes, thank you. that clearly calls that out. But if you have, obviously, it's not the topic today, but if you have more questions on how, on specific scenarios of how that works, we're happy to jump in and kind of discuss that at length. But from that perspective, obviously, everything is enabled through MCP. And then as you interact with the agents, it will go to wherever you allow it to go, right? And that's all configurable, of course. But this is the vision. This is what we have been building. And now I want to shift here to show you what's already available, what's and what's coming eventually. If I can move forward with my slides. All right. So one thing that we hear or heard a lot from you guys in the past few months is that as we were sharing some of these things with you guys, with some of you guys, you were like, "Oh, I had no idea. I wish you guys had told me this 4 months ago or 3 months ago, whatever," right? So we decided to say, okay, here's everything that you should know that is already available. So it's not something that's coming. This is here already. And if you're not leveraging that, please contact us, contact your account manager, your customer service manager, and reach out essentially, like smoke signal, whatever, right? Because if you're not leveraging any of these, you probably should. So the first thing that we want to share is really on the in that first boxes on the left hand side of that diagram, as you have requirements and you have to start doing test planning and test design. So think about, you have received that user story, let's say it's assigned to you, and now you need to analyze it. You need to make sure you can test it, right? So now imagine you have directly inside of TestOps that AI agent that is basically doing that initial analysis and evaluation of that requirement of that user story in this example, and then telling you, hey, these are the things that we need to seek clarification. And then you can either provide the clarification yourself if you know it, because as I mentioned earlier, your SME knowledge as testers and testing professionals is second to none. And that's the unique differentiator of the any testing professional, right? Um, so if you have the context, if you have the answer, you can provide it to it right then and there. Um, and then the test planning and test design will just naturally flow with that additional context you just provide, or that clarification you just provided. If you don't know what the answer is to whatever needs to be clarified, then you can basically reach out to the product owner or the business analyst in with the list, right? Here are the things that I need clarification before I can actually proceed here with my test planning and test design. Once you get the clarifications, then the AI agent will say, okay, now I have everything I need. Let me go ahead and create the test plan. Let me go ahead and create the actual test cases that we'll need to run in order to validate this specific user story. And that's all done inside of TestOps in this example. That capability is already available in there, and it's been available for several months. So if you don't know about that, that is something you should definitely reach out, get a demo, do a POC, try it out, play with it, and see if it helps you accelerate your day-to-day. So think about this as, you're inside of a sprint, you know, time is running. Usually it's 2 week sprints for the most part. You get, the requirements or the user stories, and now you're able to do all of the analysis and test design that you need to do super quick, much quicker than before, and then be ready to start running the tests and then automating them and so on. So if you think about shift left and doing a lot of in-sprint testing, this is a really powerful weapon that you should start leveraging. And again, all inside of TestOps, all inside of the Katalon platform. So now, let's say you have the tests, requirements are clear, you have the tests, you're ready to move forward. The next thing that you can do, thinking again about taking care of that backlog of manual regression tasks that you guys mentioned, or increasing that automation coverage that you guys mentioned right in the poll, and in managing all of those tasks in a single place. We have this manual AI manual to automate blah, to automation conversion that is also available. So this is an AI agent that is essentially, um, as you do your manual testing, as you always do, right? In most cases, you have a manual test case to kind of follow and execute those steps. But as you're doing that normally, as you would always do, you have the ability inside of TestOps to have that agent monitor that execution behind the scenes. And then essentially at the end of your execution, you will basically have a ready to use automated test that you can run, in Studio like you normally do. So now what you're doing is you have your manual testing effort. So if you are that organization that has manual testers and automation engineers, the manual testers, they're not doing automation maybe. As they're doing their manual testing normally, at the end of their manual test execution, you have, or the automation team has, the automated tests in Studio that they can, if they want to expand on them, if they want to adjust them, or whatever. The point is that that manual testing effort has resulted in automated tests that Studio can just pick it up and run. You can run it on KRE, you can run it in the Katalon Test Cloud, and so on and so forth. So it's really enabling that, uh, as you guys mentioned, that manual regression testing backlog to now start getting cut down and cut down more and more and more. It's helping you, let's say, for new features, as you're doing your manual testing of that new feature, it's helping you increase that automation coverage that you guys highlighted in the poll there. Doing that by having, that manual testing effort accelerate that automation effort as well. And ultimately, having the team, or having the testing, having the tests ready before that very last day of the sprint, where you're scrambling and trying to see what is it that you can actually get to execute based on the time that you have. And then you have to start making some, risk-based decisions as to what I should not test, or what I probably don't need to test right now, given the time crunch and so on. So helping you not only do in-sprint testing, but also in sprint test automation, right? Which is really something that most of you guys are striving to do, are trying to do. And because of maintenance, which is normal of any test automation effort, you never or you almost never have the time to do both in the way that you want to do, both maintaining the tasks that need to be maintained, and also increasing that automation coverage uh, by doing, by automating new tests. So this capability in TestOps is helping our customers, you guys, tremendously with those efforts in sprint testing, manual regression test automation, or I'm sorry, regression testing automation, and clear that backlog all in a single platform. So keep an not if you have not been exposed to this capability, again, reach out to the team, because there's a lot that you guys can leverage there today. Now, you have created a task, you have automated them, they're ready to run, you run them, awesome. But how do you actually make sense of the results? So we have two capabilities here that are AI powered, that are bringing a lot more intelligence to the way you do that, and doing that for you on your behalf in a much faster way. Which first one I'll say is the AI failure analysis, which analyzes your test results and basically say, hey, these failed because of, I don't know, locator changed, and then we did self-healing, and are you good with that? Or these failed because the data was not, because of test data issues, or because the environment was not available. Here's how you fix it, right? Or, if it failed because of a legit application issue, then that's a defect. So having AI do that analysis up front so that you can just look at that and make decisions as opposed to you having to digging into through everything and trying to figure out yourself. That's the first one. The second one is the AI executive briefing. Okay, you're at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the sprint, and you have to report to your management what is the current state of that release or that day or that test run. You can simply ask the AI to generate a brief for your management, and then it will compile all that information for the day, for the week, or whatever you choose, right? It will compile that in a way that is presentable to the executives, to the leadership team, and then you don't have to kind of copy stuff and paste and all that. But it's ready for you to share directly from TestOps, or you can just copy and paste it into an email, and then off you go. So these are two capabilities that we've been getting great feedback from you guys as well.
Alex, we have a few questions. Do you want to take them now?
Yeah, sure. Let me go there. Okay. So can you share the link of this TestOps platform? I believe I'm using a different one. Okay, yep. We'll share that, Akshay. We'll share that offline. Disha and Erica, if you guys can help me
Yeah.
take note of that. Aroop's asking, are there any capabilities for AI requirements analysis agent to integrate with a Confluence page, learn historical BRDs related to the current BRD in question, and generate AI for manual testers that not only focuses on current BRD, other scope? Oh, okay, okay. So thank you, Aroop. That's a good segue for my next topic here, and then I'll go back to the questions there. Um, so we have released last month the MCP server for both Studio and TestOps. With that, in Studio today, you can accomplish that use case that you were talking about. You can get StudioAssist inside of Studio. And if you guys are not familiar, StudioAssist is our AI assistant, your AI coding assistant, that now has agent or has an agent mode. So it doesn't just answer questions or explain things. Now it actually acts inside of Studio and beyond, right? So it's an actual agent. Um, so it will create tests inside of Studio. It will update object repositories. It will go to, as you were mentioning here, go to a Confluence space or a Jira ticket, right? Provided those are MCP enabled, provided your organization has activated the MCP in the Atlassian ecosystem, right? So the Studio Assist agent will go to those external tools, get the context that's needed, will come back to Studio and say, based on what I've learned, here are the tests that we need to run or we need to create. And do you want me to create the first one, right? And then you just interact with it, step by step or in bulk. Like usually we recommend step by step because it's AI after all. And then you can start creating those tests and ultimately execute those tests. But now bringing information from outside of the Katalon ecosystem, right? And again, this is all enabled by MCP. And if you haven't check this one out, especially you, Arup. This is something you definitely want to try it out. Many of you guys have been exposed to Studio Assist uh, in the not to the agent mode in Studio Assist. So yes, the agent mode is also new. It's been released, I guess, a month and a half, 2 months. So if you haven't tried that out, or if you tried Studio Assist and it didn't fit your use case, now is the time to go back to it because now not only it's more intelligent, but it excuse me, but it actually acts on whatever it is that you need to be acted on, either internally inside of Studio or also going outside through MCP and pulling the information, pulling the context for you to be able to do much better tests inside of Studio. Okay, and you have here in the screenshot an example like here that this is Claude, right? So we were in Claude and asking Claude to go into into Studio, into a project, and then basically, hey, just tell me which projects have these characteristics. And then from Claude, you can interact with the Katalon Studio projects, right? And take action. So it works both ways, just both for the studio agent to work with the outside world through MCP, as well as the outside world to work with Studio and TestOps, right? So this is for both Studio and TestOps. So really exciting. This is something that many of you guys have been asking, and it's been here for, I guess, a month, a little over a month. So please do check that out. Very powerful capability for you guys. Let me see. Uh, and let me go roll up here. Yep, I answered that one live. Um, can it automate test case that was generated in the previous step based on the requirements without any manual intervention? Yeah, automate the test case that was generated in the previous step. Uh, I'm not sure what you're referring to here, Ayush, without manual intervention. Well, so I'll answer the way I think you might have meant, but if not, feel free to provide more context and we'll try to get to it. Um, but yeah, so if you have provided the right context or let's say the right requirement and then the AI generated a test, then it will generate on its own. Like you don't have that. There's no manual intervention for you to do as part of that generation. Now, obviously, it's AI, so you have to use your SME knowledge, right? And this is the power. This is the real power. Your SME knowledge to determine if that is a good enough of a test case, or if you want to interact with AI via natural language to make adjustments, just like when you're using, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, right? Until you deem this is a good test case. So, but again, that's why we added that agent to do the requirements analysis, because the better that input is, the better that context is, the better the output, in this case, the test case, the better the output will be. Without that initial analysis on the requirements to, seek clarifications, it's like garbage in, garbage out, right? You have to make sure you have a good set of context that goes into the AI so that the output can be as close to or as good as you deem based on your own knowledge. So that's why we added that specific step. All right, let me move on here to the next one. So improve cloud device testing and live testing. So in Test Cloud, which is our test cloud for running tests across different browsers, across different mobile devices, and so it's your infrastructure for execution. We have made a lot of enhancements there to get true parallelization of the executions across the entire library that you have available there for different browsers and different mobile devices. We also added smart capabilities like the retry logic to make sure that, hey, if there's a failure because I don't know, the device is slow or the application is slow, and the test is timing out, so okay, just retry it because this doesn't seem to be like an actual application issue. Let's try it again. And that enables you to really understand how the applications are working, as opposed to trying to figure out issues with the infrastructure, right? So that's the whole point of this new version of Test Cloud that's available to you as well. And the last capability here before I jump into the stuff we're bringing, right, in terms of roadmap, is for TrueTest. So TrueTest has been officially rolled out and launched early this year. And one of the key capabilities that you guys have been asking us to do is, hey, how can you tell me what am I missing from my testing compared to what users are doing? And that's exactly the test gap analysis that we have implemented in this picture here that you're seeing. You see the user journey map in blue, with each of those blue bars as different pages. And now you see that those lines or those journeys painted in orange, or I guess kind of brownish or orange. Um, and those orange lines and bars are the things that you are that exist in production, that users are actually going through in production, but that you are not testing those same flows in your QA environment. So it basically, TrueTest basically said, hey, here's what you're missing from your test coverage based on users. Now, and you see there the link, it's clearly written like generate test cases to close the gap. You click that button there, that link, and now it starts generating those test cases for that so that you can run those flows as part of your QA testing or your pre-production testing in QA. Uh, so that you can detect any regressions or any changes before that application or that release goes out the door. Because if you don't and something is broken in those journeys, then there will be a direct impact to your end users, right? So you want to make sure you maximize your coverage to consider also what's going to impact your users once released. So brand new capability released last month also. If you are not aware, if you were not aware and you want to check it out, please do reach out to us, because this is really, it's a visually, it's just exciting because you see, oh man, yeah, I clearly see what's missing. Let's close the gap. Now, this is, all of these capabilities already delivered, plus the capabilities that I'm going to go through here that are coming, have, been caught the attention of industry analysts. So Gartner is recommending TrueTest to their clients, right? And this is like this report is basically available in the Gartner website if you're a subscriber. That they're saying, hey, you should hand off test creation and maintenance to tools such as Katalon TrueTest, right? So this is something that has really caught on in the industry, this capability of understanding how those users are navigating and making sure you're testing like them to close the coverage gap from your application. Now, in addition to that, we've seen the first iteration of, or the first edition of the Magic Quadrant for AI augmented software testing tools, which places Catalan as a visionary, the only company in the visionaries quadrant, which shows us that we have from a completeness of vision. Our vision is really focusing on helping our customers today, but also setting you guys up to succeed in addressing the challenges that are coming but are not hitting you yet. So having that long-term view of what's important for our customer base and building those capabilities for when they need it, for when our customers need it, is something that is validated by being placed in that visionary quadrant, and by ourselves, which is super exciting. So just know that you are partnering with us as certainly as a long-term partner to help you not only with your needs of today, but also for the future as well. All right. Let me see, how much time do I have here? I've got, oh, shoot. Okay, 5 minutes. Let me try to go here real quick, and then I can definitely stay on for a few more questions if needed. But
Yeah, Alex, we have a few questions, but that's what I was going to do. If you go through the 2026 roadmap, and then, we can just answer the questions live for the recording for those who need to drop.
Perfect. All right. So one thing that we're really excited, our European customers have been asking us for a long time. Can you host your cloud products, Catalan, in region, right? Inside of the EU region. And we are happy to say that we are going to do that in 2026, in the early part of 2026. So many of our customers have very strong restrictions on where their information can be. And obviously EU is something that it's a very large market for us. So we are finally being able to bring that capability in Europe. So our public SaaS products are going to be available in the AWS cloud in Europe to make sure that those regulations and those requirements really for data residency are respected, and then our customers can leverage those capabilities. So this is coming in 2026 in the early part. We're really excited about that. And I'm sure many of you guys here on the call are as well, because you've been asking for a while. The second capability in 2026, the major capability, will be the enhancement of API and mobile testing. So API, if you think about it, is really form-based, right? The way you test it, the way you create tests, the way you interact with the test itself. We're rebuilding that capability to be more AI friendly, meaning to be much more the user experience to be much more natural as you want to create tasks, and again leveraging AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so that you don't have to focus on the structural creation of an API test. Instead, you focus on bringing your SME knowledge and application knowledge in order to do the testing, and let the AI do the heavy lifting. Same thing with mobile. Excuse me. We're also revamping that and adding some capabilities into the platform that will enable you to have to do mobile testing much faster. We saw a highlight of the enhancements we did on the Test Cloud. We're also making lots of enhancements, let's say on True Test as an example next year. In the later part of next year, we're also going to be able to do mobile testing, real user monitoring on the mobile native applications, and as well as API. So TrueTest being able to map out those API calls along with the user journey flows that it's already capturing. So a lot of enhancements and AI-powered enhancements for API. Now, one of the things that is really, really cool is that we are going to be bringing Playwright into the Katalon platform in different phases, right? And we are essentially bringing those capabilities across the different products that we have in 2026. So one of the things, for example, that we are planning to start, and this is, again, roadmap for next year, is, hey, if you have Playwright and you want to run it in the Katalon platform, fine, let's run it. We have, Task Cloud, you have different capabilities. Let's do that. Let's compile those reports. Let's do the analytics, the AI powered analytics that I mentioned earlier. Let's do all that because you've already made investments in Playwright. So, you want to essentially leverage that investment and then continue building on top of that with the Katalon platform. So there's a lot more things that we're going to be doing and integrating with Playwright in the next year. Again, based on your own requests and feedback that we've heard, and I know many of you guys here on this call are going to be super excited with that as well. So just again, a thank you for always being the partner and the voice that you are to help us build out our roadmap and build the capabilities that really matter to you guys. Um, believe we don't
Yeah.
have time to go dive into the more detailed roadmap, but I will say here, and then I'll turn it over to Disha. I will say here, if you guys are interested in any of the capabilities you saw today, anything that's coming, and also if you're interested in a deeper dive in the roadmap, like the detailed roadmap, please reach out to us. We have a lot of things that we're cooking that we want to get to. We want to share with you guys, take feedback. So do reach out to your account manager, your customer success manager, and smoke signals, whatever. We're here for you guys. And Disha, I'll turn it back to you for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I want to quickly launch our last poll here before we start losing all the audiences. This is about let us know which features today that Alex talked about you want to see more resources on, you want us to maybe spend more time on in the next webinar. I think this information is very important for us. It'll help us um, sort of drive both the next topics, resources, videos that we can send out to you guys. Um, does look like AI requirements analysis and test design, migration from manual to test automation. AI executive briefings at 50%, MCP Studio enabled again at 50%. Okay, so I think the basic AI requirements analysis and test design, so leading at 80% and migration from manual to test automation. Okay. All right. Guess in the interest of time, I'm going to end the poll here and share the results. So yeah, we have AI requirements analysis and test design, 76% migration from manual to automation test, 82%, AI executive briefings and failure analysis as 56%. And MCP-enabled studio and TestOps are 47. Again, I know that's new, very brand new feature, so it's exciting to see that, and that's definitely something we were also planning next. And then we have a kind of a tie at the last two there. Okay,
Excellent. Yeah.
yeah, perfect. So, I mean, I think we still have some participants, so maybe Alex, we can take a few questions here.
Yeah.
I think there are a few questions on true test from Arup. For true test, if I generate
Okay, let me see
test
here.
case from prod environment and then add some custom validations to it and rerun on QA environment, would that gap be closed?
All
If not,
right.
is there a way test ops can listen to the true test project executions and determine the flows plus steps that were run and then decide to close the gap?
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's a great question. Yeah, so you're onto it, Arup. If you so as TrueTest is listening to user journeys in production, and as you have TrueTest in your QA environment, and then you are running your regular manual testing cycle there, now you have traffic, right, from both QA and production. And now what TrueTest does in that diagram that I showed there, or that picture, is basically overlaying both maps and showing, hey, here are the flows that we saw in production. Here are the flows that we saw in your manual testing. Here's what's not matching, right? And by the way, this is if this particular flow that you're not testing in your QA environment, if that's important to you, then generate me that test from the production journeys that TrueTest has observed. So you do that very easily as that click of a button there, and then you can just run it as part of your regular cycle. So yes, that's I think that's exactly what you were describing there.
Mhm.
Extremely powerful capability. Many of our customers that have asked for that said, "Hey, we do pretty decent testing, but we're still leaking defects to production. Users report issues, and we are like scratching our heads, like why? We do pretty good testing." So when you did investigate the root cause, is yours again, you guys told us that the way you are testing is different than the way people are actually using the application, and that's why you're missing some defects. So this capability closes that gap and brings you that power to really uh, test like your users use the application, in addition to obviously testing or validating your requirements. You need both coverages, right? So you have to shift left, to really understand the requirements, prevent defect if possible, and then test as early as possible. But you also need to shift right, understand how users are actually using the application, and then bring that knowledge back into your QA, and then have that holistic coverage across requirements and users. So thanks, Arun,
Yeah.
for your question.
And Alex, I think you probably answered Jason's question here, but that's just a follow-up. Can true test identify least executed user flows rather than just the missing ones?
Yeah, amazing. Yes. So absolutely, Jason. The in those I'm gonna bring up on the screen here. In those yeah, here in the flows, as you see, the thickness of the lines essentially denote the traffic, right? So the lines that are thicker are basically the paths or the flows that users go through the most, and then the thin lines are the ones that users go through the least, right? So, and you have everything in between, and you can
Mhm.
filter those out by by percentages, by relative percentages, by absolute numbers. So you can once you have the journey map, you can slice it and dice it the way that matters to you the most.
Yeah, so for your tiered automation strategy, Tutus already does that tiering for you. So that
Mhm.
that would be simple to do. Um, I guess one last question from Clinton here. If I have a list of manual test cases, can TestOps convert all these manual test cases into automated tests with a push of a button instead of doing it one by one?
Oh, you can do that today in Studio, although in TestOps you're going to be able to do that soon. But in Studio you can do that. However, we don't recommend doing that simply because, as I said, the more things you ask AI to do at the same time, the worse the output will be or the quality of the output will be. So what we typically see people doing, like our users doing, is taking, hey, this is a requirement, analyze it, tell me what's missing, like is it clear, testable, etc. Boom, and then it tells you, similar to the use case and test ops that I mentioned, right? But now you're doing that inside of Studio Assist. And then you provide clarifications, try again, and then, okay, now generate me, what are the tests that I need? It will list you 5, 7, 10 tests. Okay, let's create the first one. And then you interact with it to create, one by one or, every three or whatever. But the point is, whenever you're interacting with any AI, and this is not just for testing, right? The more things you ask up front, the quality of the output will be less accurate, right? So you have in today's level of maturity of Gen AI, you have to kind of take a more of a step by step based approach. So short answer is, can it do it? Yes. Do we recommend it? No. But and we have best practices around that our team can help you. And again, this is not exclusive to to Studio Assist or Katalon, the way we use AI in general. This is just the current state of AI in the industry. But great question.
Alex, do you want to take a couple more or we can send them offline? I'm
Uh, let's see here.
I'm
Talk more.
conscious you've been talking for a whole hour, so
Yeah, my throat was failing there. Uh, okay, so we answered that. Use AWS browser. Yeah, okay, yeah. So there's one question here. Is Catalog going to use the AWS automated AI browser? So as part of the more detailed roadmap that I didn't get to go through today, we have a capability. So we talked about the things that we already have today, um, and we are analyzing requirements, we're building tests, we're automating them, we're running them, right? But what we have coming here in 26 is now that you have, let's say you have the manual tests in natural language, as part of test ops, for example, um, you can tell the execution agent to just go and run those manual tests on its own, right? So what the AI agent will do is it will pick up that manual test and it will go through those steps, like test step one, uh, type in login or the username and password and click on login. It will follow those instructions in natural language without having an underlying script, right? So if you think about it, if you are a manual tester and you are in charge of running 12, 15, 20 tests on this particular period of time, now you have an army of AI agents that can help you execute those tests manually, right? But you scale that, and then you are following. If you want to, you're kind of just watching the execution of those by the AI agents, and then at the end of it, you have the results, and you can go through the results and all that. So that does leverage parts of the AWS automated, browser infrastructure. It uses other technologies as well that we have employed to enable that capability to be accurate, right? Because can AI do that today? Yes, it can. But is it accurate? Is it reliable? What is the success rate, right? So we've been using over the past year, we've been attempting different technologies and mixing different technologies to make sure that um, reliability of an autonomous execution is acceptable by our users, by you guys. So yes, Samit, this is coming here in 26 as well. Let me see if there's any other here that's different. Okay. All right. What AI features shown today are covered in current Katalon subscription versus what needs to be enrolled to? If you have like a studio license, you have access to Studio Assist. If you have a TestOps license, you have access to those capabilities that we covered. Now, your admin, right, your administrator of your licenses, they have the ability to enable or disable all the AI in our products, right? So from a subscription perspective, yes, it's available, but your administrator of the licenses is the one who needs to make sure that your organization allows, et cetera, et cetera. You are in full control, I guess that's my point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just to wrap here, there were a lot of questions on subscription. Please reach out to us, your customer success manager. You can reach out to me directly too if you don't know who your account manager or CSM is. My email is disha.gosalia@catalan.com, and we can help you if whether your organization is enabled or not. Even more details on subscription. We can do trial subscriptions for you guys for True Test, TestOps if you don't have that. So there's a lot that can be done here for you to just play around with it. So yeah, I will encourage you all to reach out to us. We are 15 minutes over, and I'm conscious of Alex's throat there. So I really appreciate Alex for you sharing your insights, experience, roadmap with us, and really huge thank you, to all of you who attended, participated in the poll. I think your feedback is definitely going to guide what we bring you next in this series. Again, as always, a recording will be shared with you. So feel free to revisit anything. Please share out to your teams. We appreciate your time, your engagement, your partnership. All right, everyone, have a great rest of the day, evening, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Appreciate the questions. Bye.